Ben Johnson spoke with the media today, and I want to make sure we get that out here for the people, because when Ben Johnson talks, I feel like you listen.
You need to listen,
especially in the midst of middle of training camp. You want to make sure, like, hey, this dude Ben Johnson, he might not be with us forever, fellas. He might not be with us forever. And then that sounds bad when I say that, like he could die or something, which everyone does die. But you guys know what I mean here. He spoke about the wide receiver four battle, guys, and I think that's like we keep talking about and bringing up the Darius Fountain. We talk about the DPJ. We just did the buy sell with him. I think it's good to hear it from a guy like Ben Johnson, who is probably the guy who's going to make the final decision, him and Dan Campbell, on who's going to be wide receiver 3, who's going to be wide receiver 4, who's going to be out there, and who are they going to cut. So I think it's interesting to hear exactly what he has to say about it. And they asked him. That's why I love the media. They say how it is. They'll ask the questions, and Ben has to answer. So here's Ben Johnson talking about wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, what that battle looks like. And he went into details on how they break it down and what they're looking at. So here's Ben on that.
Wide receiver at this point.
Yeah, we've been pretty consistent as a staff, really since we knew that Josh Reynolds was leaving us. And that has been, we need smart, we need reliable, okay? And if we had to be picky, we want a little bit of length, okay? Just so it rounds out those 3 guys that we're anticipating entering the season with. So with that being said, we're charting every single day who's the most reliable, mental errors, who's catching the ball, who's dropping the ball. These guys see it. They get the feedback every single day. They know what's going on. They know they're in the midst of the battle right now. We got a number of guys competing for that spot. Reese has certainly come on so far in training camp. His physicality, his explosiveness has shown up. Antoine Green is still pushing on along here. We see growth from the springtime. We just need to see the consistency that we've been hoping for from him. DPJ has made some big plays for us. He had a big block just the other day in practice that we took note of. And we know what Khalif Raymond is. Like, he's not to be overlooked either, because he's going to be a big part of our offense as well. So the competition is healthy. Those are a few names, but everyone is in it at this point.
Boys, I think it's fair to say that the competition is going. The Khalif thing, I don't know. Like the Khalif comment at the end, I think that's more so like him just saying like Khalif's not in this wide receiver 3 battle. Like he's gonna get Khalif's gonna be Khalif. I think it's fair to say like it's a legit battle. I'm interested. Like Antoine Green keeps getting brought up. It feels like Antoine Green's Ben Johnson's guy. I don't know why I get that feeling. He was hurt. I don't know if he went back in today. I didn't really realize. Like I saw he got hurt in the individuals. I'm not sure though if he ended up going in for 11 on 11. I don't remember seeing him, Klotz, but it feels like Ben Johnson likes Antoine by the sounds. I don't know. That's just me.
I mean, it definitely sounds like it, but I think he's probably just giving him a little bit of confidence because he's been doing well recently. And I do think there's guys that he likes more so than others, but I don't think he's going to let that block anything. And I think when you look at Donovan Peoples-Jones and mention him up, it's kind of in the same light. So he probably definitely likes what he's seeing out of Antoine Green, but I don't think he's favoring him by any means.
Yeah, no, one thing I just did notice is kind of like how we just brought up to DPJ, like what I said. I think they trust him. They think he's reliable, and that's something that he said that he's looking for right there. A guy that's reliable and that has length to kind of replace Josh Reynolds and what he brought. So I'm not taking too much away from that, but I do think, like I said, I still think Donovan Peoples-Jones edges his way out here in this wide receiver room and makes a spot for him. But like you said, Boone, this is a battle, and it's a good thing to have when you have a lot of guys that are, kind of battling for these lower end positions. Just shows how much depth you really do have at the position.
Yeah, that's why I think they end up keeping 2 out of those 3 guys, and then the other one is end up practice squad. I think it ends up being DPJ and Fountain, and I think as much as we hate it, I think Antoine ends up getting the practice squad. Unless they keep, I don't think they'll keep that many, but I think that's just what it comes down to because of the reps and everything. So I don't know. I don't know. He also too, Ben Johnson, he talked about Jameson Williams a little bit. I think this was the more interesting thing with JMO because the JMO situation, Klotz, we talked about how like the energy he's bringing and how different it looks here with JMO and kind of how he's been stepping up. And I have the thought process of I think JMO's going to have an even bigger year than people are thinking. Like, I think he could go out there and get 800 yards and have 6 touchdowns. Like, what you're seeing from him is different. And Ben kind of talked about it. And again, this is one of those things, boys. You hear it from a lot of people, but when the offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, the best in the league, starts talking about Jameson Williams, that's when you're like, all right, we're serious. That's why, hey, Klotz, when he says Levi O, when these guys say Levi O, I listen. Use your context clues. Here we go. Listen, this is Ben on Jameson Williams.
Goddamn context clues.
Started feeling it towards the end of last year, and he's taken that to another level in the springtime and so far here in training camp. He prides himself on bringing some juice to the offense, and we certainly feel it out there, both in the passing game, making explosive plays, but he also wants to be a dynamic blocker as well, which we really value. So things have started to slow down mentally for him. We've locked him into a couple spots, and as a result, his route tree's kind of grown. It's developed, and in his mind, there's nothing he can't do. And so far, we really haven't seen that either. I haven't seen anything that he can't do. So it's been fun.
I think that was the biggest comment out of it, is that there's nothing that he can't do. And they say that, hey, we've thrown everything at him and he could do anything that we ask. Like, I think that's like the maturity of being in the NFL and being able to go out there, like the different route trees and kind of developing that, especially in different, if you're moving around a lot and the stuff he was going through with the injury and the gambling, like this guy now, it's like he's dialed in. They said we've thrown things at him. It's like Hendon Hooker. They're like, we're going to keep throwing things at Hendon Hooker and see what he can handle. And he hasn't been able to handle much. Jameson Williams are like, we're throwing everything at him and he can handle everything. And there's nothing that he can't do. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, yeah. So I thought you were going to go on a little preach sets there, Gentry, but no, JMO. Like I said, he's playing with confidence. I already spoke on it early. You can see that Jameson Williams is ready to take that next step, and I do think that they won't reach the production of the T. Higgins or Jamar Chase, but this will be probably like a top 5 wide receiver duo in the NFL, especially when you look at what Jameson Williams can do in the run game, kind of like how the 49ers use Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. You bet your ass that Ben Johnson is looking over what Kyle Shanahan is doing and not copying it, but like, oh, I like that. How can we use that with Jameson Williams? And you saw that against the 49ers to get the first touchdown of the NFC Championship game. So Jameson Williams, he's putting his game together towards the back half of the season last year, like a lot of the other players on this team. The chemistry is going to continue to build. He's going to get more opportunities. So I don't think there's anything else to say but big year for Jameson Williams.
Yeah, and like I said, I think one of the bigger things was like the confidence with JMO, and then I think ending the year getting those 2 big touchdowns in the NFC Championship. I think that kind of carried his mentality into this season, and like I said, he feels like he belongs. And I think right there was kind of just a realization that of Ben Johnson, kind of like, I got this weapon. He's finally here. He's everything that I wished he would have turned into. And I think, like you said, big year for JMO. He's going to go crazy.
Let's go, boys. Hey, with the JMO stuff, I pulled this tweet up talking about JMO. Something we saw today, and this kept happening. They worked on special teams twice, this new kickoff rule, and I've seen it happen now in the Hall of Fame game a couple times. And it's a really weird, and people are gonna have to get used to it. New kickoff. And essentially, and this is kind of how I take it, and you guys can interpret how you do. It feels like it's another offensive play, like a running play. And today, when they were repping it out, guys like Jameson Williams, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, to Jahmyr Gibbs were all back there returning kicks. And it's not like, this is where I want people to realize this too, until you see it. And I'm sure if you've been to camp or if you're watching the Hall of Fame game, this is not like the old kick return to where they just boot it down and you're running 30 yards and you could just get hit and you're just uncovered. This is like a legit play. And it feels like it's a running play. And I think that's the mindset. We saw Dan Campbell and Dave Phipp and stuff have JMO and these guys out there. I think they're trying to get a feel for it to say, hey, like, is this actually something? And this is the thing that I talked about months ago. Is this something you can actually get yardages out and flip the field or get field position out of? And it feels like they're kind of giving that look. Are you guys like in or out on this? Klotz, I feel like I know what you're in or your spot is on this, but I want to hear both of you guys on this one.
I was just watching the Hall of Fame game, and I've watched 2 of these returners. One of them got killed, and one of them slipped because he knew he was about to get killed. Like, no, I think there's so many variables that could happen that the Lions can't control here. Like if they do the squib kick, like I get that works better for a player to get up the field quicker, but there's going to be players flying at different angles, and you can't hit these players up high anymore. So they're going to be cutting them low. They're just going to be trying to get them down right away. I think this is honestly going to put like star players like Jameson Williams, David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs. If you put them back there, it definitely is going to put them at risk for injury. And I don't think there's that much gain compared to if you were to put a guy like Maurice Alexander, if you were to put Sione Vaki back there. Like, I don't think there's that much difference in what you're going to get out of it compared to the possible risk. Like I said, if there's 30 seconds left in the game, you're down by 6, and you need to go get any chance at points, then put JMO back there. But when you're talking about to kick off the game, to come out at halftime, no, please not put them back there.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I want to see it in a game first. And, like, obviously I wouldn't use one of my star players. But, like, after Lukas said, and he kind of just confirmed it, that, you know, you're, like, suiciding some of your players out there. I wouldn't put my stars out there. And for guys like Jameson Williams, Montgomery, and St. Brown, those guys have all had some injuries. So, like, to risk one of them getting injured on that, no. But if it was, like, a game-winning situation or, you know, you need one last drive, maybe you do throw Jameson Williams back there or you throw Jameer Gibbs. But, like, even St. Brown, like, there's no way in hell I'm throwing St. Brown back there. Like, no fucking way. After all the money you just gave him and what he means to your offense, like, it's just stupid. And like Lukas said, you could draft a guy like Sione Vaki and you have Maurice Alexander. You have a bunch of guys that you can use on special teams. So I think unless it's like a game on the line situation, I'm not even entertaining putting my star players back there.
Do it, boys. Let's do it. Let's put it back there.
There's a lot of guys that have speed, and there's a lot of guys that are actually made for the old special teams that can easily pick up on this. There's no reason to waste. You're hoping you have one of the top, you know, you're a top 5 offense. You think you're going to be one of the best offenses in the league. Why would you go out there and possibly take a chance on losing one of your best players in that top 5 offense? Like, it just makes no sense. There's guys that can return kicks, that can get yards, that can take one to the house from here and then. You don't waste your star players on that.
This is my thing though. Like, this is my thing is, and I would like to see more of it in the preseason. Like I've barely seen it here in the game tonight. I've looked down and I saw it once. The only one I saw was the guy that slipped. So I haven't been able to get to see like an actual one and what's happened. But I think just the fact alone that they're repping it out with those guys shows that they're taking a look at this. Like this wasn't like. This wasn't they were just repping it out and walking through it today. They were going 100%, it looked like, at it. Amon-Ra St. Brown got tackled during his return. Like, these guys are out there. So if they're repping it out in practice at full speed, I'm not so sure Dan Campbell doesn't care. Like, hey, we're here to win football games. And if they feel like this kick return can put them in better field position, if you have better players out there, because you could say, oh, you have Sione Vaki, you have these guys like Sione Vaki or David Montgomery, Sione Vaki or Jameer Gibbs, Sione Vaki or Jameson Williams, Sione Vaki or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Give me those guys over Sione Vaki 10 times out of 10. Like if you're doing if it's 1st and 10 and you have a run play, are you going to give a jet sweep to Amon-Ra St. Brown or JMO, or are you going to hand the ball off to David Montgomery or Jameer Gibbs, or are you going to say, hey, on 1st and 10, let's go out there and give the ball to Sione Vaki? Because essentially this is another, again, the feelings behind this, everyone in the NFL right now, is people are saying, hey, this feels like another run play. That's how some teams are treating it, because it feels like another run play. If you have an opportunity to get an extra possession, it's like saying you have, instead of 1st and 10, you have, like, you're getting an extra possession in that first like an extra play.
Yeah,
like, that's essentially what it is.
Booner, in that situation, if it's 1st and 10, I'll give it to those players. But if it's not 1st and 10,
but if it's you have extra play to get field position,
depth, right? Like we have this depth that we're confident in the Detroit Lions offense. Let's put them to use. Like, let's not just, like, if they want to get better, let them develop. Like, Sione Vaki needs to improve as a runner.
I don't want guys to develop during the regular season when you're going for a Super Bowl.
Would you rather have guys develop or keep players getting hurt?